So a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time since I started posting again on this channel, it was mainly about my political transition, how I became from pretty much not following politics at all to actually being more aware regarding the situation with politics and other stuff. And in my case, I personally started back in 2012. That was the first time that I voted. Had no idea with politics. Pretty much just my dad submitted the vote. Then 2016, I was definitely aware. Personally, never liked Trump. Still not a fan of Trump. Not, but I don't see it in the same way that I used to see it back then. And my transition began back when I was going to vote for the midterms for DeSantis versus Andrew Gillum. I was pretty much looking into the policies to see which policy aligns more with me. And at the time, Andrew Gillum was making this big deal about stand your ground law in Florida. And he was saying that stand your ground gives you the right to shoot at a person. And which is insane. It is insane to actually say that stand your grounds represents that when legally it does not. And there was this huge case where Michael DeShrica, something like that, he has a weird last name. He shot this guy in a gas station after they're having an argument. And he made that case about his entire campaign. That he was saying this is the type of things that he wants to change because he doesn't want to see people, innocent people being shot. And as I started checking all the facts of everything that he was saying in that, I believe he had a speech with Bernie Sanders. And I started checking the actual statutes, the actual laws, the actual cases. I'm like, this guy's gaslighting people. He's just pretty much lying to our face, hoping that you don't do your own research. And the more I did it, funny enough, the more I did, the more I realized, I'm like, these people are insane. These people are just hoping that you don't know something and just go along with whatever the talking points are. And I have noticed that is very consistent because when I look back in 2016, why did I vote for Hillary? What was the policy I liked? There wasn't a single policy I can mention. All I could say was she was going to be the first women president. Isn't that the same argument that people are making right now for Kamala? And when you ask people for their policies, nobody can mention their policies. And I noticed the more you start reasoning, and I'm not saying not everybody does not reason. There's some people that are legit left-leaning and they actually believe those policies would actually work. But there's another big question. They're saying also that many of the problems in the U.S. is because of Trump. I'm sorry. In the last, 12 years, Democrats have been in power. The Democrats were in power with Obama and Biden. And Trump had 4 years. How can one person that was in office for 4 and you were in office for 12, how does that make sense? And many inconsistencies like that, especially relating to the Second Amendment, relating to gun control, and how some of the laws are applied, and current existing laws, and the lack of understanding that people don't know about short barrel rifles and AR pistols and all those things that people that do not follow it, they would just go, if you go along, you actually believe it. And I started noticing this more at work. At work, when people mention things about politics, it looked like it was just a CNN or whatever left-leaning news media they were reading. It was a straight script. When I asked for questions, I was like, I recall this guy that asked him, hey, what do you think about RFK? Because personally, I am not left-leaning like RFK, but I can agree with some of his stances regarding censorship and all those things. And the first comment was like, oh, he's crazy. And I was like, please elaborate. What do you mean he's crazy? Oh, no. And then he just repeated something that he said on the news media. And actually, funny enough, I had seen the actual headline that he was talking about. And I was like, oh, so you don't know anything about him. You're just repeating the headline that you saw. But you didn't actually read anything about him. You actually didn't see any articles about RFK and many of his stances. Because another thing that I noticed is people, when they want to agree with someone, or when they want to disagree with someone, they only need one reason to disagree with that person. But the reverse is the opposite. So, like for example, he didn't like RFK for X, Y, or Z, and he only needed one reason to say, hey, he's not a good candidate. When, let's be honest, all candidates are a compromise. There's not a single candidate that you're going to agree with 100%. You don't agree 100% with your mother. You don't agree 100% with your brother. You don't agree 100% with your wife or husband. And that is the simple minded mentality that people that are refusing to see what's obvious, not admitting. And actually, I was watching not long ago this debate within Charlie Kirk and 25 woke students, and they were talking about how trans women and all these things. And I was like, why are things how the Democratic Party or people that lean left have gotten so goofy? Why isn't the argument, how about we treat people fairly? Believe what you want to believe. How about we treat people fairly and we leave it as that? And I feel like everything is like a propaganda that keeps coming along either. And one thing that people have not questioned, or maybe, why is it an LGBT movement? When did they all gather and they put them together? They put them together because it's easier to manipulate an agenda when you put people into groups. And the left, they wants to put people into groups, create them as a victim. Boom, you got the votes. And I noticed with people that I know, people that I've known for years, I haven't seen them in a while. Funny enough, went to university. After he went to university, a woke kid. I was like, dude, what happened to you? You were this super strict dude that was like super serious, and now you did a 180 change. I was like, what happened here? And staying on point regarding why I left the Democrats, it's just they have gotten into so many goofy things. Like, for example, the argument with the border. The reason they don't want to push on the border, the wall, is because Trump proposed it. Not because they don't think it's a good idea. And I was having this argument with a person that I know. And he said, oh, we can do this with surveillance. We can do this with cameras, with technology. We're in the technology field. I'm in cybersecurity. And I was like, dude, how do you protect the server? Do you protect the server with a camera or with a sensor? No, you protect it in an enclosed room with a freaking door and with a specific lock that only limited people can have access to. How do you, in a concert, how do you control the masses from not going into the artist or the person who's giving the speech or presenting? You have physical barriers that are interconnected. That way you can guide the people through a specific entrance because it makes it easier for you to control. The problem is people didn't like the messenger, so they killed the message. And that is the differentiation that I made with Trump. As I mentioned, I don't like Trump. I am more a Ron Paul kind of libertarian type of guy. But I can understand that some of the policies that Kamala wants, they're just not going to work. And also, she's an extreme far left candidate, which she does not represent the country. After the debate, I was watching her and I'm like, this girl literally flipped all her positions just to win the votes. And I think people need to just be more aware. I'm not saying you have to agree with me or do whatever you want. But at the end, the point is, keep in mind, whenever you want to believe something, it is easier to convince you. This happens the same way with conspiracies. I have many friends who believe in conspiracies and all this weird stuff. And I always give them the information. I'm like, you're already leaning to believe something. Therefore, you need only one fact to believe your whole conspiracy. The same, but you don't do the same for the opposite and try to call your own biases. If you have a bias against Trump, but look at the policy. You can say, hey, look, I don't like Trump, but I think he did a good job on this. If you're not able to say that, then you're just another NPC who cannot think for themselves. This happened to both sides. If you say that Donald Trump messed up on this, and you immediately have to call the other person a Democrat or a communist, I mean, you're behaving the same exact way. You're not thinking for yourself. And this is the point that I want with this channel. I don't want to be pandering to any side. I want to be pander. My objective is for people to think, and have honest opinion and be respectful with other people, because the reason we are in this state in politics in the US is because we're not talking to each other. We are hearing, the left is hearing the echo chamber repeating the same things, and then you got the right with the echo chamber repeating the same things. And then when we meet, I'm pretty sure this has happened to you guys, or some of you, that you have a conversation with someone, and then you start mentioning, oh, this happened, and they're political opposite, and they have no idea what you're talking about, or vice versa. So the point is, the message has to go across. That way people are able to understand each other, and we stop this whole nonsense about going at each other's throat. And now with the second attempt on Trump, which is disgusting that it happens, we need to calm down the waters. We need to know that there's bigger things than just our political party. The country is more important, and keeping everything stable, having a better system. That way, everyone has the opportunity to grow and become a better person in the United States. It's more important than anything else. And I guess I will leave it as that. I'll probably give more information on a future video with other specific details of what I'm talking about. But that's it for now.